Start again. Thanks. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Look, there's just a couple of important points I want to make again, given there's only a short time. One of the important points is that as a company like Santos, we're bound by laws of disclosure. So anything we put out is required to be factually based. So by the Australian Stock Exchange, or in the case of this advert, the GetUp monitors these under the Trade Practices Act. So anything we put out is always bound by those laws. So that gives people the confidence that we can't just go and say anything we like. We have to have a factual base to what we say. That's an important point. And Santos obviously takes that to heart, and we, as a company, being a scientific and engineering company, we deal with facts every day. That's how we do our business. We've been operating in Queensland for the last 16 years. We have got the science in that state. We know that where we operate, there hasn't been any measurable impact on the surface aquifers. That's a fact. And that information is readily available on our website. If you want to contact us, we can provide you the information. In Gunnedah, even though we've only just started work there, it's very early stages, it's exploration. We've made available all the finished water reports that we've done in that region to date. That's available to everybody to read, and you can contact us to get a copy of those things. We've recently put a submission into the Senate inquiry on coal seam gas. That was under oath. We're about to go and do another submission to the upper house in New South Wales. Similarly, that will be fact-based. There are copies of those documents in the foyer, or you can go onto our website and find those as well. So it's important to understand that as a company, we take that to heart. That's a very important thing for us. And as an engineering and scientific company, that's not to be unexpected. Now, what else are we doing in the area? It's also important to know that over the years we've signed up 500 land access agreements with landowners. 200 of those have been repeat sign-ups, so we've come in, done our work, gone away, come back again. Those landowners have been happy to re-sign with us. As late as a few weeks ago, I've been able to sign up a couple more land access agreements in Gunnedah, so that process is continuing. Why is that happening? Why are we able to sign up the landowners in this environment, do you think? Well, what we find happens is we go out and we go to the landowner's property and we explain to them what we want to do. We want to do a core hole. We say, look, we want to come on here for about 2 months. We want to have a pad about such and such a size. We can put it somewhere in this general vicinity. We talk it through with the landowner. They obviously have concerns. I mean, I come from a farming background. I know that what the concerns are that people have. So we talk them through. We work out where a suitable spot is and how it's going to work. And after that, we work out what a suitable compensation is, not only for the loss of land, but also the loss of land access, the loss of amenity. And then we reach agreement and we proceed and do our work. And we've done that successfully now for the last 16 years. We have 500 of those things in place. That's a fact. And that's continuing today. Now, when we finish work with, say, our exploration holes, those wells are completed, the area's rehabilitated, and most people wouldn't even identify that we've been there. That's in the exploration phase. During the production phase, you can see the size of the facility. They're quite small. Just a few metres by a few metres, 5 or 10 metres wide in some of the single facilities, obviously a bit bigger in some of the multiple pads. The other key thing is that we can drill horizontally for up to 2 kilometres, so we can go under the prime farmland and not disrupt that. So we can work through with the landowners and work out how to coexist with them. That's what we want to do. That's the way we want to do business, and that's how we've been successful thus far for the last 16 years. We've been, as you know, the Santos is the South Australian Northern Territory oil search company. It's a South Australian company. We've been here for 50 years, supplying gas to Adelaide households for that long, and to Brisbane households, and to Sydney households. We've done that successfully. Everybody in this room knows that. So we want to apply those practices now in what we do going forward. We know that we have to have the support of the landowners. We know that, but that's why we are very open about how we go about our work.
Thank you. Tim, so Tim, what is happening on the land industry? What, Mike?
Yeah, no, I don't need to mic. I'll probably blow everyone out of the room.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I'd just like to say, if you ask the question of a mining company, is there any evidence that you harm the land? The answer is no. If you ask them, is there any evidence you don't harm the land? The answer is also no. So it depends how the question is worded, how the public perception runs. On the Liverpool Plains, we went through every legal process. As a line of last resort, I had a call from my brother one day. They rang and said, my younger brother rang me and said, they're driving down the road with a load of fences on. What do you want us to do? I said, go and park the road in. 673 days later, and 2,900 visitors, we packed up a blockade, having had a Supreme Court victory, ostensibly quashing all access agreements on the Liverpool Plains. And as I referred to earlier, 5 weeks later, the mining company had run back to the state government, the mining industry indeed, not the company, suggesting that the entire sky was going to fall in, the lights were going to go out, Australia would be broke, New South Wales would die because they couldn't get access to the Liverpool Plains. This is not an industry about coexistence. This is an industry about the rich get richer and everyone else gets the picture. Water moves extremely slowly. If I injure your water here in a slow-moving aquitard, it may move as little as half a metre a year. Santos are gone in 100 years. Every other mining company's gone, and what happens? Goodness, your water's destroyed. Those parent companies that ran all those projects, they're all gone. Never to be heard of, all deregistered. We asked mining companies for parent company guarantees back to the BHP Limited assets of London. They won't do it. And they won't do it because they know in long term there is harm that is done. My advice here to anyone that is a landholder, you ask them for parent company guarantees. You ask them back to their assets so they come to your assets with the guarantee of their assets. This movement has risen because people have had enough. And on the ground now, because our laws in this state have failed us, we have no other option other than to take civil action with community groups like you here tonight, sitting there doing these things. What we saw on the Liverpool Plains was the most conservative group of farmers you would ever come across in your life, sitting there through summer, winter, rain, hail, shine, protecting assets because they believe that what is going on is wrong. And I believe that too.
Thanks very much, everyone, and I hope you're going all right with a huge amount of information. Recently, GetUp went on the road in Queensland and northern New South Wales to try and find out for ourselves what was happening with coal seam gas mining. And seeing the industry ads, it reminded me of something that I certainly didn't ever experience, and it made me think back to what it must have been like in 1851. The gold rush is on. Some things are different now. There's multinational companies, there's big PR campaigns with backing from around the world, in fact, and they've got big budgets. But some things, sadly, don't seem to be that different. There's certainly a cowboy culture out there. There's the glint of the yellow glint, the yellow fever struck when people are moving quickly to strike and get the money, get the big contracts with China and elsewhere. And there's little protection for people and certainly for the land. Farmers have no right to stop the gas companies coming onto their property. It's just shocking that people have been on their land for generations, doing their best to leave it for their kids and the next generation, and suddenly the gas companies turn up and they don't have a right to stop them entering. And I proposed to Andrew and his 500 people that might be playing on their minds when they sign these contracts. But moving forward from 1851, I think the way this industry is being approached by the industry itself and by government has a more recent metaphor that I'd like to try and pose, which is looking at what happened recently in the US. There were incentives created for investment in the property market. There was a culture of risk that was encouraged so that investment would occur. And in 2007, we saw the benefits of the US economy being extolled. The economy was on the rise and nothing could dampen it. Then within a few months, there was a major recession. And it feels like there's something similar happening here. The risks are being taken without little consideration for what the impacts in the future will be. But unlike an economy that can bounce back, we won't be seeing that if the damage is done to things like the aquifers, which, as the geoscientists tell us, once they're damaged, they can never be repaired. I guess just in raising the ads, what we've seen, well, I feel we're seeing with the industry ads, are people being presented who are directly benefiting from the industry itself, trying to convince the public that the industry as a whole should be supported, that they don't need further regulation. As we did the road trip, it became extremely easy to put our ad together because there was no script. We weren't telling people what to say. We didn't have to pay anyone to be on camera. We simply went from farm to farm, from town to town, and asked people what they felt about the coal seam gas industry, what they were concerned about for the future, or more importantly, what their direct impacts had been if there was coal seam gas mining in the area. And so that's what you're seeing in our ad, are the real impacts of those people explaining what it's like and what's at stake. And it's not really like, it's the death of 1,000 cuts is how I see it. It's not the one gas well on somebody's property that might have been put in 16 years ago and there's no visible impacts that we can see now. The impacts are deep underground for one thing, and they can take decades to be extolled. But it was the same in the US financial crisis. It wasn't the one dodgy loan that was given, it was the build-up of those loans over a long period of time. And then the consequences of those dodgy practices were far-reaching. And that's, I think, the concern that we're seeing here, is what happens when the water supplies in the key farming region of Australia are damaged? What happens when the water supply that underpins our wilderness areas are contaminated? What happens when we don't have those resources anymore? That's the future that we're concerned about, and why we are seeing a movement of people standing up from across Australia to do things like attend these meetings, to donate the money to put ads like ours on air, to stand up and blockade their properties and protect it, to take legal action in court. So we're calling on the federal government to do more. We don't think the states have managed this issue. We've seen a real conflict of interest, we believe, and it's time for the federal government to step in and do something about it.